personal brand brings you fast success.
Most of you think your stories aren't big enough or good enough or interesting enough.
I definitely think that's a whole
That's true, but they always are. You have to trust us on that.
You have to trust us on that.
You do. And once you realize that your story matters and that it is big enough or interesting enough, then it changes how you present yourself.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand.
Hello, business stars.
Hey, guys.
Today, we're giving up some secrets. So stay tuned, get your pen and paper out if you want the good stuff. We're talking about something we know that most of our clients don't know when they begin their personal branding journey. The only thing most entrepreneurs know at that stage is they want to make sure that their brand is rock solid, a brand they can really be proud of. But most of you have probably heard it takes months or even years to build a brand.
Yeah, we know that's not true, first off. We know that it can change things very quickly. So today we're going to share with you the 5 ways your personal brand brings you fast success. And hey, before we get started, hit that subscribe button because you want to be the first to know this valuable information that we are constantly giving. 9 years we've been building incredible brands for entrepreneurs, and we want to do that for you. We want to give you this information, and you want to be the first one to know it. If you are in any entrepreneurial space, hit subscribe.
That's right. Okay, let's move on to number 1. The number 1 reason your personal brand can bring you fast success, it starts with changing the way you see yourself. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most gratifying and honestly emotional times in the branding process when we help people write their stories. In other words, we call that your brand messaging. It's the language that we use to express what it is that sets you apart and express your story and why people should do business with you.
And that happens very early on in your branding journey. And it's by far my favorite part of the success because it makes such an impact on the individual person. It's often an awakening for them. I know it was for me when Tanya built my brand nearly 9 years ago. And here are just a few of the comments that we hear over and over again at our branding reveals. Is that really me? Yeah, I didn't realize I had accomplished all of that. You really captured me. I can't believe you were able to pull all of that together so perfectly. I never would have been able to do that. I can't thank you enough. This is a game changer. It just goes on and on and on because they just don't realize what building a brand entails.
Yeah, and it actually happened just this morning. We did a brand messaging reveal, and I said, how does this messaging and this story make you feel after reading back somebody's biography and brand messaging to them? And she said, it makes me feel like I want to know that person, which is awesome. Okay. But why does this happen? Well, because it's real. Real people have real stories. And the sad part about that is most of you think your stories aren't big enough or good enough or interesting enough.
I definitely think that's a whole
That's true. But they always are. You have to trust us on that.
You have to trust us on that.
You do. And once you realize that your story matters and that it is big enough or interesting enough, then it changes how you present yourself, and how you present yourself to the world begins with you. That's why number 1 is so important.
It is. And number 2, you begin to have different conversations. And this is really big for people, especially if you're new and you don't know what to talk about, right?
Exactly.
As soon as you know your brand direction, you find yourself thinking differently, introducing yourself differently, and having different conversations. And that's because you finally got your message dialed in. And now you know exactly how to talk to people because now you know how to help them, and you know who you're talking to, and you know especially why they should choose you.
And we have hundreds of stories from people all over the world that this has happened to. I know one lady called me a week and a half into her journey and says, I've been introducing myself differently. And I can't tell you the number of people who said, that's exactly what you're doing, who you are. That's exactly what I've been looking for. It's a game changer. Okay. All right. Number 3 way your personal brand brings you fast success is, this is one of my favorites too, it changes the way other people see you. Think about it as a result of number 1 and number 2 changes the way you see yourself, and you begin to have different conversations. It changes the way others see you. And I'll tell you this, I know it changed the way people saw me, because when I first got into the radio world, I was still in college at the time. Actually, I still had 2 years of college left. And I was fresh meat on the radio scene, right? Brand new. Nobody wanted to see me coming. Like they would run. It was like when roaches scatter when you turn on the lights, right? It really was. And so I got doors slammed in my face from business owners, from CEOs, from marketing directors, from account execs at ad agencies, you name it. The more important they were, the harder the door hit. So, and I realized pretty quickly that, gosh, if this is going to be my life here if I don't change something. And it started with changing the way I presented myself. And that caused other people to see me differently. And the way I did that actually formed what BrandFace is today. The way that I changed the way people saw me. I ended up, years later, I was in media for the next 18 years. I dragged people into the studio all the time, helping them to craft their own brands, teaching them how to do their own radio commercials. And of course, over the years, that got into digital and television and all of that kind of stuff. So, and helping people see them differently, which brought them great success. So it changes the way others see you. And that can be a miracle, and it can happen very quickly.
Very fast. Y'all see what's happening? It's all about that attractor factor. When you get it dialed in right, it makes a difference. The number 4 secret that we know is about building a brand is your confidence grows significantly as soon as you do that. All right. As soon as you start building out your brand, even if you're the most confident person in the world at your craft, it doesn't really matter, because knowing that your brand finally represents you in the way that you deserve, it is an incredible game changer. It changes the playing field. Now you don't have to worry about the competitor who's all over YouTube or Instagram or on the billboards, because you really have no competitors. You begin to realize that you are the only person that can hold your ground in your space. And that is very important. There is no other story like yours. And like Tanya said earlier, for those of you who hold back on building out your brand because you think your story isn't big enough, you need to book a conversation with us, because we can show you it most certainly is as big as any other story. I promise you.
And I'll never forget the time Leslie Smith out of New Orleans, when she finished the program, she said, now it really helped me understand that I don't have any competitors. Right. And that was huge. Michael just said that, because you don't have any competitors. And we're not just paying lip service to that. You literally have no competitors. When you define yourself so well, nobody else can deliver what you can deliver.
No,
right?
I'm in the real estate business, and I have no competitors. Now, yeah, I know. Go ahead, put it in the chats. Yeah, I do. Right. The point is, I don't care what my competitors are doing, because I'm taking care of my own business, and that's how I make 7 figures a year.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing I'd like to speak to about Michael, or ask him to speak to as well, is when you get that brand dialed in, your marketing materials, they look amazing, and everything is consistent. And it's a feeling that a lot of people just have a hard time describing once they get to that point, which is what you said to me years ago.
Well, I'll give you a good example about having everything together when you dial your brand in. I built an entire website for an entire company with all the branding materials in about 4 days, me and Sydney. All right. Listen to what I just said. 4 days, from start to finish. And the reason why is because when you build your brand out and you know your brand, and you go through like our program, and we show you exactly what a brand's supposed to look like in a comprehensive manner, you have it all together. It doesn't matter if you're ordering signs, making postcards, mail outs, emails, billboards, radio commercials, TV commercials, Google ads, anything that you're going to do, you have it all together, and you can put it together just like that, or train somebody in your staff to do it. It is like, that is also a huge game changer, knowing exactly who you're talking to and how to talk to them, and having it at your fingertips.
Yeah, can't say enough about that.
Right.
Okay, moving on to number 5 reason your personal brand can bring you fast success is if you have 1 through 4 at your disposal, you start viewing yourself differently. You have different conversations other people view. You tend to put yourself out there more, right? And when you do that, your results amplify. Okay.
They absolutely exponentially grow.
They do. Remember what we say about the true success factor for building a brand. Okay. Most people say brands are built over time, right? And that your customers are the only ones who can decide what your brand is and all that fluff.
God, I hope not.
He's kidding, people. Okay. Most people think that though. They think that brands are built over time and it takes forever. We say not so. Brands are really built over impressions.
Absolutely.
Okay. Here's case in point. If I have all this beautiful brand built over here and I have everything I need to market myself, if I don't use my brand, state my elevator pitch, introduce myself with my brand identifier, put my elevator pitch or my signature sound bites or my bio out there on a regular basis, if I don't do that, how long is it going to take me to build a brand? Well, it could take forever. Because guess what? You're not using it. You're not impressing. You're not getting exposures or impressions. But take the guy who has only had the brand for 2 weeks and he's putting it out there everywhere. Who's going to build that brand faster? It's not time. It's impressions.
Yeah. Okay? And you don't leave it up to your customers to decide what your brand is. You tell your potential customers what your brand is. And that brand needs to speak to them.
That's right.
You want to attract. That is the whole purpose behind it.
Yeah.
So you never allow somebody else to say, hey, that's what this person is. No, you tell them, hey, this is what I do, and I'm speaking to you.
Right, exactly.
And then they go, me? And you go, yeah, you. And you go, well, I do need what you are offering.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, come on.
Yeah, and you take a little grain out of what a lot of people say, that it takes a long time to build a brand. It is true that over time your brand will get stronger and stronger,
if you do
of course. Right. And it is true that ultimately your customer gets to decide whether they do business with you or don't do business with you and what they think about you, right? But don't you owe it to yourself to influence that, to put yourself out there in a way that
you can't grow a business if you don't.
No, exactly. In a way that you want people to see you.
I've grown several.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to do that, right? All right, and let's tie all this together so you see how the cycle of these 5 things brings you very fast success. Number 1, you continue to see yourself differently and more successful. That is huge to you, especially salespeople out there. You continue to have different conversations because those conversations are working and people are responding to that, and that brings on more success. You continue to have different conversations, right? And it causes more people to see you differently and realize your unique value proposition. And that gives you more confidence about putting yourself out there, and the cycle just continues.
Yep. And that's the beautiful part of it.
But I got to say, the important part of that is getting in the cycle. So quit procrastinating about that.
That's right.
Hit that subscribe button so we can tell you how to do it and get started in that cycle. I promise you it'll work. I promise you.
Exactly. Well, he's living proof. Not too long ago, we started with his brand. Within the first year of building his brand, his business quadrupled. And every single year since that time, it has doubled or more than doubled year over year.
Year over year.
It's
and
huge,
it's turned into a 7-figure income every year, no matter what is going on in the marketplace.
That's huge. Okay. So, hey, are you ready to take your brand to the next level?
Man, I hope so.
We hope so. If so, we want to help you. Go to discussyourbrand.com. You're going to see a short form. If you fill that out, it'll give us more information so we're better prepared to discuss your challenges and needs and goals and how we can help you create that personal brand that honestly teaches people how to treat you.
Yep.
Okay. And best of all, we can do it for you. And the journey is simple.
Very simple.
All you got to do is take that first step, guys. Discussyourbrand.com.
Very important. All right. Hey, listen, the reason we do this is for prosperity. And when we talk about prosperity here, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about the full 360 of an abundant life that we truly wish for every one of y'all. But we know at BrandFace, prosperity favors the bold. So we say be bold, folks, especially with your brand, especially in 2022. And thank you, Miss Tanya.
Thank you. All right, guys, we'll see you here next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Brought to you by BrandFace, the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.